Well, I hope you enjoyed the Beltane Mayday journey and that it gave you, an experience that was valuable for you. But there are many ways that people will see different aspects of that journey, and there is meaning within those different ways. For example, when we're talking about the meadow and what we see there, there is the meaning of certain flowers that some people will find, interesting and of sort of something that they want to look at. Other people would say, well, it's just a meadow, it's just beautiful, and that is fine, that is lovely. There is, no need to look at the meaning or any symbolism unless it's something that takes your fancy. But within what you experience, there will be meaning because the life force within you is in union with the life force around you, and the subconscious part of your mind is also in union in that kind of journey. It is in union with your conscious mind rather in the way that happens when you are dreaming. So there will be meaning that is there, meanings there that are, quite insightful sometimes. So, what sort of things maybe should you be looking out for without going into it in too much depth? I think that is an interesting thing for most people to think about. And the first thing, as I say, the flowers. In Victorian times, it was very much talked about, and there were many books written on the meaning of flowers, and that those were quite insightful. But I would still say, if a flower has a certain meaning for you, then that is the meaning that is appropriate for you, because symbols also, whilst there are generalizations, that they are quite individual in the same way that I would say there are when we are dreaming, that it's the meaning that we give to it. So say a butterfly would have a general theme that is well accepted. Butterflies as transformation, symbols of transformation, because of the way that they come, emerge from their hard chrysalis into the beauty of a butterfly. And that is accepted really across many different cultures. So that is a generalization. But if you were to have observed, say, a red admiral butterfly in the garden, the colours might have a particular meaning for you. They might bring to mind certain things, and that is special for you, it's individual for you. But many people, I'm not suggesting for one moment that you have to have seen or you should have seen butterflies in your garden, because some people will, some people won't. Some people are in a fairly transformative stage of their lives. Other people are just happy to be carrying on in their own sweet way. And whilst we're always transforming, there are in every life periods of transformation that are greater than others. And sometimes butterflies will show up in greater numbers in this kind of journey when that is happening. So if there is a meaning there that is important for you, if buttercups always remind you of your grandmother, or you always made daisy chains with a certain person when you were growing up, perhaps there is something within the lovely memories that you have with that person that is nourishing for you now. That is another way of looking at this. But because everything is in a way connected when we undertake this kind of experience, there will be many levels of connection. When we come to the water source, how you feel about that water source can tell you a lot about how you feel about your emotional life. For example, if you really don't even want to dip a finger in the water and have to, push yourself to do that, then maybe there's emotions you don't want to look at this time. That doesn't mean that you have to. Again, it may not be the right time for you to do that, but just to have the awareness can sometimes be a useful thing of, well, yes, actually, that is how I feel about that, and that is how I think about something else. So we can, if we wish, use this kind of journey as a tool of self-understanding and insight, self-understanding of where we're at now, and perhaps a little bit more, an understanding of how our soul wants to lead us forwards from where we are at now. But it's always up to us how we go with that, and we're the ones that have to decide what to do and how to do it, of course. So the emotion, the emotional side is often fascinating. Some people, they want to stand under a waterfall and really feel it washing them clean, and the meaning of that is, we want to wash away the dross, the emotional dross. We want to wash it away so that something more vibrant can become a part of us. Other times we're very gentle, we're very languid, and we just want to, sort of experience the water in a very gentle way and allow our emotions to be there. And maybe our emotions are very beautiful and we just want to observe them, because in every life, even when we're going through troubled times, we will still have emotions that are very beautiful. A moment of tenderness, a moment of beauty, a moment of awe at the sheer strength and power of nature, perhaps, or something like the force of a storm can be beautiful to watch. It can be wonderful. It can make us feel humble, or it can remind us that there is sometimes a bit of a tempest within that we need to look at and understand. So to come to the house is the structure. The building is the structure of life. The life that we have, the structure as we have it at the moment. And it may be that your house seemed a bit flimsy and you'd like life to be more structured. It may be that the structure of the building seemed to be very formal, which may have been perfect for you, because it's how you feel about it that is important. Or it may have felt a little bit too structured for the beauty of a garden. And if that was so, maybe you are being invited to look at those areas where you might feel that your life is too structured, because we don't always take a look. We're very busy people, aren't we? And other times you could look at the house and you could think, it needs work doing on it. It needs painting. But we can also look at the function of the house, and that will tell you a little bit more, perhaps about the priorities that you're honouring at the moment. If this is a house where children live, there's a lot of nurturing and growing and bringing to fruition going on. If this was a greenhouse where plants are raised, again we're looking at nurturance, but perhaps in a different way, and maybe about nurturing the part of us that needs to connect more with nature, whether we do that by being out in it, or perhaps by taking care of a plant or of growing something, or whatever way is right for us. And to come to another aspect would be the entrance to your garden, whether it was uphill, whether you stepped up or down, whether the ground was rough or smooth, even whether the entrance was on the right or the left or straight ahead. If it's on the right, we're looking more at the creative or spiritual side of your life. If it's on the left, we're looking more at the material side of your life, the logical side of your life. And if it's straight ahead, there's a good balance between the two. But having said that, if your entrance was on the right or the left, it doesn't mean that the balance is poor. It might mean that it's just as it needs to be at the present time, because you are giving priority to either the logical side or the more creative side. And only you can decide whether that is 100% right for you at this time, or whether there is some adjustment needed. But how you feel about what you encounter in your meadow and in your garden, that is the most telling thing, because it tells you how you feel about what you discover. And that tells you something about the inner you. And if there were creatures or animals in your garden, I know I've mentioned butterflies, and most people will encounter birds because I mentioned them. But there might be a certain kind of bird, or there might be a creature that I haven't mentioned. And if you're into the meaning of shamanic animals, or the meaning of animals in folklore, then that will have meaning for you too. The animal which appeared for you. But there are many different ideas, and I just wanted to talk about a few of them, because each of us will have a slightly different code of meaning, although there are generalizations. But how we feel tells us a lot about us. How we feel in response to the things that we see on our journey. And the house is the structure. The water is the emotion. The pathway is the journey. The secret garden is the inner sanctity of you. So I'd like to leave you with these ideas to consider. And thank you for joining me.